SeaWorld San Diego holds a very special place in my heart. It's one of my home parks, so I've been going to this place for years and years, and to an extent, I kind of feel like I've grown up alongside the park, because when I was a little kid, this park was very animal focused, and as I grew up into a teenager, the park shifted more and more in favor of high thrill roller coasters. So I feel like we've grown up together, this park and I. When I drive up to this park now, just seeing the skyline of how much this park has changed, it's just so impressive. It's really cool to see. Like, even 10 years ago, this place it's really different. I feel so lucky to live so close to this park that's been expanding so quickly. So naturally, I thought that SeaWorld San Diego would be a great contender for a wishlist video. I have 5 ideas for the future of this theme park, so let's dig in with number 5. I feel like a perfect replacement to the Submarine Quest's dark ride thing that was an absolute failure. I actually got to experience that attraction, which might be one of my biggest flexes as a theme park fan ever. But anyway, I feel like a Gravity Group family wooden coaster would be a perfect replacement for that attraction, because right now that plot of land is just sitting empty. There's a few chairs set up and you can like walk around. That whole area is just kind of weird. Like, I remember when that place was brand new, they pretty much just built a second kids area right next to their original kids area, which doesn't make any sense. And obviously the headlining attraction for that expansion when it first opened was that Submarine Quest dark ride, which might be one of the most embarrassing attractions to ever open, like, in the entire theme park industry. Like, that, oh man, that ride, that was something. But I feel like that land is like a perfect size for a Gravity Group family coaster, and it would fit perfectly in that Submarine Quest like area. And as for the park as a whole, it would be a step down from Arctic Rescue and from Manta. So I feel like it would be a perfect starting coaster. This park also doesn't have like a kiddie coaster, so you could put that in as 5B on the wish list. Just like a dedicated kiddie coaster. That would be a great idea for this park. But yeah, I feel like a Gravity Group family wooden coaster would just be absolutely perfect. I've only ever been on Kentucky Flyer, but that ride is just so much fun. So I would not mind a Gravity Group family coaster coming to SeaWorld San Diego. I feel like it would just be a perfect fit. Number 4, we're gonna go a very, very ambitious with a hypercoaster. Now, I don't know if this park could ever build a hypercoaster because all of their tallest coasters are 150 feet. So I'm not sure if the California Coastal Commission will allow them to build a hypercoaster. They do have the Sky Cabin, which is 300 feet tall. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but if we're just going off of recent developments, it doesn't seem very likely. But I feel like a hypercoaster would just be a perfect number 1 for this park, like a clear-cut number 1, because right now I feel like that's missing from this park's lineup. As for manufacturer, there's a few options. I'm gonna rule out B&M because if you watch my Knott's Berry Farm wishlist video, you know that I want a B&M hyper to go to that park, so I would prefer that SeaWorld San Diego goes with a different manufacturer. Mock is another exciting possibility. I would love to see that, but my official entry would be an Intamin hypercoaster. SeaWorld has been working with Intamin, so I feel like this isn't impossible. The United States doesn't have a next generation Intamin hypercoaster. Like, I'm pretty sure the newest one we have is Skyrush, so it would be cool to see something like Conda or something like Hyperion at Energylandia. That's probably a bit too large for SeaWorld San Diego, but like a scaled down version. So like a happy medium between Conda and Hyperion, preferably above the 200-foot range because I just wanted to check the box of a hypercoaster. This ride would be airtime focused, and I feel like it would be by far the number 1 coaster in the park, but I have it placed at number 4 because I don't even know if this is a possibility, but I'm still gonna include it because this is a wishlist video. Don't get me wrong, I would definitely still be excited if it was a Mach or even a B&M. I love B&M hypers, so I would go crazy if we got any sort of hypercoaster at SeaWorld San Diego, but in my dream world, I would make it an Intamin hypercoaster. Number 3 on my wish list is a B&M surf coaster. This feels like a very real possibility because right now the only surf coaster in the world is at SeaWorld Orlando. I've seen the track with my own eyeballs, but I have not ridden Pipeline, unfortunately. I hope to ride it at some point. I just didn't get a chance to visit SeaWorld in 2023. But I drove past it and I literally saw Pipeline, and from what I've heard, it's actually like a really solid ride experience. So I would love to have that in Southern California. Just like standing airtime, that seems like a really cool sensation. I can only imagine what that is like. I would prefer if the layout was more airtime focused, so maybe if you got rid of the twister section at the end of Pipeline and just focused on either twisted airtime hills or camelbacks, make it more of an out and back. I feel like that could be really cool. And it sounds like the inversion is kind of a nothing element, so maybe go with a non-inverting surf coaster. That could be really cool. And I'd be interested to know if B&M is going to develop seated trains for their surf coaster design. It would be interesting to live in a world where SeaWorld San Diego has a surf coaster where they have two different ride experiences, like one that's standing, just like Pipeline, and a different train that could offer a seated experience, so you could like choose your own adventure. That would be super cool. I'm not sure how practical that would be though. Like if B&M does install a surf coaster with seated trains, it would probably just be a seated ride experience. From what I've heard, it sounds like Pipeline is a very comfortable ride experience, and it's much better than the older B&M stand-up trains, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Number 2 is an RMC Raptor coaster. For a while, I thought this would be the hands down the perfect fit at SeaWorld San Diego, especially if they went with the Railblazer / Golden Lasso coaster layout. But since then, Stunt Pilot has opened, and it has like totally different profiling, and it looks a lot less exciting. So I'm not sure if that would be a great idea anymore. And you gotta consider the fact that Magic Mountain opened a Raptor. Magic Mountain and SeaWorld San Diego feel like they're really far apart, but they do serve a similar market. Like, I'm not sure if SeaWorld opened a small-scale Raptor coaster, if anyone from the LA area would feel like they have to come down to SeaWorld to experience that attraction, you know? I would definitely do it, though, because I love Railblazer. I actually have a full separate review video on my channel for that attraction. That's an amazing roller coaster. So is Flight of Courage at Magic Mountain. I have a review video for that as well. So I just love Raptor coasters, man. So the more the merrier. I would love the Railblazer layout to be added to SeaWorld San Diego. They're just relentless ride experiences, and they're so well rounded. They're so much fun. It's just non-stop from when you turn off the lift hill to when you hit the brakes. They're just amazing ride experiences. But number 1 is a Mach Extreme Spinner. I love Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. I actually made a full separate wishlist video about Mach rides, and in that video I talked about how I want a Mach Extreme Spinner at SeaWorld San Diego. I feel like it would just be the perfect number 1. Even if SeaWorld San Diego gets a hypercoaster, I feel like a Mach Extreme Spinner would still be the number 1 in that park, because this ride model is just so exciting. It has so much potential. I don't even think that the layout has to be that massive for it to be a world-class ride experience. Just take a modest launch coaster layout and put a Mach Extreme Spinner twist on it, and I feel like that ride experience would be incredible. So I don't think you need that much land to make this ride absolutely elite, which is why it's number 1 on my wishlist video. I feel like SeaWorld San Diego is just missing a thrill coaster with a solid amount of airtime. I feel like an Extreme Spinner would provide that, a Raptor would provide that, same with the Hyper and the Surf Coaster, obviously. And even the Gravity Group Family Woody would be a family iteration of airtime. Because right now, Emperor just has the drop, which I wouldn't really say it's like a waitlist feeling, it's not necessarily airtime. Electric Eel has a couple really strong moments, but airtime is not the focus of that ride experience. And then Manta has a few solid pops, but that is a family coaster. So just a thrill ride with a solid amount of airtime would be the perfect fit at SeaWorld San Diego, and I feel like these 5 attractions would really round out this lineup and give this park a lot more airtime moments, which is what I feel like it needs. On top of that, they would all be very different. They would be very different ride experiences. So in a perfect world, we get all of these, but obviously that's never going to happen. So thank you so much for watching my SeaWorld San Diego wishlist video. What do you think about these wishlist additions? Would you change anything? Would you add something else? Please let me know in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you later.